Welcome. How are you all? I'm just setting myself up here. We are on day 16, and I am delighted we've got this far. I'd just like to focus today on energy boosting practice together. I know that there are days in this challenge, in this rising program that we're doing, where you just really, oh God, do I really need it this morning? Do I want to do it? Do I need to get back and roll out my mat? And this practice is for those days where you're not feeling up to it for anything in your life. So when we talk about energy boosting practices in yoga, it's usually practices that open up the front of the body, open up the chest and the heart. And you think about lying back on the sand, trying to receive the energy from the sunshine. That's the postures that we go into. And I also have a nice energy boosting breathing practice to complement the practice that we did yesterday, the balancing practice of the hands under the armpits. So I hope you enjoy it. We're going to move a lot more, and we're going to be doing some standing. Of course, I'll cue you all the way through it. You do as much as feels good for you, and it's going to be all of the moves that you've done before, but in slightly different ways. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to come on all fours. You can use a blanket or a towel underneath your knees. And spread the fingers nice and wide on your mat, knees hip width apart, gripping your toes. So hands are nicely activated, feet and toes are nicely activated. Pushing down into your hands, we're going to come into that angry cat shape of spine. Look back to your belly and breathe in and out. I like in this angry cat position just to have a little wiggle right and left, especially if you're doing this live in the morning and it's your first movement practice of the day. So having a little wiggle and breathing in and out. And then coming back to center and try the happy cat shape of spine. So working your sternum forward, your tail up, your armpits back, not squashing in your neck. Well done. Just feeling that through the hands and the wrists as well. And then pushing into hands, rounding into angry cat, look to the belly. Have a little wiggle if you like, or stay still. And then we flow a little more up and down. Angry cat and happy cat. Breathing through it. In and out of the nostrils, having a smile to yourself as you do this. Well done. And then from here, from your angry cat, coming into a neutral spine, release the feet and the toes, give them a good old pat, get that energy going. Blood circulating in the feet, wake up the feet, and then plodding the hands around. You've done all of these before, just feeling that stretch through the wrist and the hands, plodding them all the way through the dial of the clock as far as you comfortably can, each time spreading the fingers even wider. Breathe in and out, and then releasing to the toes, hips back towards the heels and stretching out into the longest child's pose you can make for yourself comfortably this morning. So if you need your hips up away from your heels, take that. So any version, if you want your knees together, any version that's working for you today. And then the head and the heart and chest to drop down. Breathe in and out. One more breath here. Well done. Then slowly walking the hands back towards the knees so that you're in a kneeling position, and then slowly interlocking the fingers behind the back. So you can do this in an upright kneeling position if it's uncomfortable, kneeling back. Hands in onto the back. You can hold them onto your lower back here, or hold onto your elbows, or even interlock your fingers, whatever you like. And then slowly working your sit bones down towards your knees, lifting the chest up and possibly lifting the gaze up towards the ceiling. We're not throwing the head back, and breathing here. Well done. So when you think about this, as I said, lying back in the sunlight, feeling that energy on the chest, these chest openers can really help you combat any tiredness or fatigue, and they can boost just your energy and vitality, so you can feel really open here, and slowly releasing. Give yourself a big hug just to counteract that a little bit. One arm over the other and rocking from side to side. Beautiful. And then gently easing yourself back onto all fours. Have a wiggle right and left. And then we're going to flow from this child's pose back onto all fours and just see how that goes for you. Forward and back. Well done. Just feeling these movements, nicely energetic, breathing in and out of the nostrils. Well done. Forward and back. Some of you, if you're comfortable with these movements, you might like to feel the thighs dropping a little further towards the mat as you come forward, but keep pushing into your hands, keep your shoulders down. So don't overdo this, just nice and gentle. Only those of you that have possibly practiced this before. Well done. And then we'll ease ourselves onto all fours and slowly drop to your thighs and knees, bend your elbows and lower right down onto your belly and have a little wiggle again, massaging the muscles of the thighs, the quadriceps there. Well done. And slowly take your hands underneath your head. Close your eyes, let your big toes fall towards each other and breathe in and out of the nostrils, right down to your belly. You remember we've connected with this breath in the beginning classes of this program. This breathing towards the mat and away from the mat. Resting in the back and in the belly. One more breath. Okay, from here, push down into your elbows and lift your head up, and this might be enough. So just hanging out here, you can twist the head right and left. You can come back to the center. You can lift the ear away from the shoulder, back to the center, and the other ear away from the shoulder, back to the center. So you can play a little bit with your neck here, just pushing into the elbows. It's kind of like how some children would sit and watch TV or with the remote control. So just hanging out, having a little chest opener here for yourself. If this feels okay, you can push into your elbows and lift up onto your fingertips. And when you're working into these upper spinal chest bends and chest openers, you try to, it's a lower back bend, upper back, chest opener, upper back opener. You try to think about pushing firmly into the mat with your thighs and with the tops of your feet and with your pubic bones. So try to feel that steadiness and firmness there, as then you possibly move and lift up a little higher with your sternum, with your chest, and with the crown of your head. Make sure you're not squashing your neck and keep the shoulders down out of your ears. Breathe there. If this feels okay, you can take your elbows or forearms to the ground, hanging out here in Sphinx Pose. Breathe there, shoulders are dropping. And then you might like to look over your left shoulder, back to the center, look over the right shoulder. Don't go any further if it feels too much, so stay down on the elbows or head down if this is too much. Well done. Sometimes even looking or even thinking or contemplating about a posture can make us feel stressed or overwhelmed. So if you're feeling that, you listen to it and you don't go any further. And slowly, slowly lowering back down, taking the hands back in, head onto those hands and take a breath in and out. And then another little wiggle right and left. Hands underneath the shoulders. Push down into those hands. And we've done this before. Try to imagine you could reach your nose towards your belly button. So if you haven't done this for a moment, you can have a look at me doing it, and then we'll do it again. So you push into your hands, straighten the arms around your spine and trying to direct your nose towards your belly button. So what we don't want to do is lift your nose and head up to the sky as we come up. So sometimes when we're going in a direction, we feel like we need to look in that direction. We don't for this one. Look to your belly, round your spine, and then ease back into child's pose. Breathing in and out, stretching out in the mat. Then shoulders over wrists again, and we're going to work into the shoulders and the chest. Grip with the right toes on the mat and reach the left hand in front of you. So it's a balancing pose here. Breathe here. Now this might be enough. If it feels okay, you might like to find nice windmilling action there through that left arm. Breathe into it. Try to keep gripping with the back toes. Breathe all the time, feeling that openness through the chest and through the heart. It should feel really nice. If this lever feels too long, you do it with a bent elbow, fingertips on shoulders. Well done. And then let's swap sides. Same movements, but opposite sides. A grip with the left toes, right hand in front, and circling back and around. This is where we get the openness through the chest. Well done. Through the heart space. Working on lubricating those shoulder movements. One more. Well done, and release. Okay, from here, coming back, just make sure the wrists are okay. If you need to flip the hands over for a moment, do, or rotate the wrists, do. Then we're going to go back to gripping the left toes on the mat, and we've done this as well. Turn your left toes to the side of your mat, and then see if you can take your left fingertips to your left shoulder. So this is a really nice version of posture, a side plank posture, or Vashisthasana, but with support. So see how you go. If you wish, fingertips to shoulder, or just opening up that leg, or if you wish, back to the versions that we were doing earlier, opposite hand and foot. Breathe, one more breath. And if it feels okay, you might like to reach that top hand back behind you. Well done. Smile. And slowly, slowly, slowly rolling around and down. And now we need to do it on the other side. So gripping with the right toes, reaching with the right hand. Open the toes, the right toes to the edge of your mat, the long edge of your mat. You can take fingertips to shoulder and then reach that top hand up towards the ceiling. Breathe there. And if it feels okay, reaching your knuckles back behind you. Well done. Breathe, opening that side body and chest. Well done. Reaching back up towards the ceiling. Good. Slowly rolling everything around and down. Okay, and here's where the fun begins. So from here, we're going to bring ourselves back into downward dog. So we have done it before. We've done it once. We're just going to walk out a little in downward dog, just feeling. We've done versions of this against the wall and against the chair. So your body should be familiar with it. Just try not to let the head get in the way. So having a little walk on the spot in downward dog. Breathe in and out. Stretching out the backs of the legs, pushing through the hands. Remember that upward movement, pushing forward of the hands and the shoulder blades. And then let's begin to walk, plod our hands back a little towards our feet, plodding back like a jungle animal. And then you can begin to walk your feet forward towards your hands so it doesn't get too scary, so you don't think, oh, my legs aren't going to cope with this. And then plod the hands back and plod the feet forward. So keep going, baby steps forward, baby steps back with the hands or with the feet. And then hanging out there in that forward fold that you can do. You've done this against the wall, you've done it away from the wall. Allow the head to drop, allow the knees to bend, the belly to rest on the thighs. Remember that transferring of weight forward and back between the heels and the toes. Well done, breathe into it. And then slowly, slowly taking your elbows onto your thighs. We've done this before again, shoulders out of your ears, breathing here. In this little supported or high squat position, elbows are on your thighs, breathing happily in and out of the nostrils, dropping the shoulders, just lift your left ear, come back to center, lift your right ear back to center, and then try to lift your chest a little. Beautiful. From here, hands onto your thighs, push strongly into those thighs as you straighten your elbows and lift your chest up towards the ceiling. Breathe there. Try to anchor your bum. Have a little wiggle right and left. Breathe. Well done. Then pushing strongly into the feet. Strongly, strongly. We come up to standing. And now let's take backs of hands together and raise your arms up towards the ceiling to reach up to the highest shelf. We've done this many times in many positions. Reaching up, shoulder blades up. Reach up with the fingers, with the wrists, with the elbows, with the shoulder blades, reaching up. Breathe into it. And then that little balance from yesterday, maybe heels off the mat. Breathe there. Smile to yourself. Look at you. How brave you are. Well done. Lower your heels. And then gently opening the arms out to the side and windmilling them back. A nice big shoulder rotation there. Watch as you do this that you don't stick your ribs out. A lovely shoulder rotation. And on the last round, taking the hands behind your back as we did in the kneeling, so onto the back there, or elbows or interlocked fingers, breathing here, lifting up in the chest, shoulder blades together, sit bones down. Have a smile, open up in that chest. One more breath. Well done. Give yourself a hug. Good. A little pat on the back. Well done. From here, as if you're taking off a jumper, lift your elbows up and reach the arms up above your head and open out nice and wide. And then another hug. Opposite elbow on top if you can. If you figure that one out, elbows up, reach up above the head and release out wide. Okay. Let's walk the feet a little wider now, and we're just going to bend the knees and come back up. Just feeling that, bending the knees and come back up. So thighs are nice and alive. Your hands can rest or slide up and down. Well done. Okay, we're going to come into a breathing practice. This is a fiery, uplifting, energizing breath. If you have company, I know some of you are doing this in the workplace, if you have company, turn to your neighbor or your workmate and just stick out your tongue at them, be a 5-year-old, and have a little wiggle, give them a funny face and have a little giggle to yourselves, because that's what you're going to do in your breathing practice now. And when you're doing it all together, no one's looking at anybody, you're just doing it for yourself. So let's release all inhibitions, let's let go. And this is one of those exercises that when we do in class, we have a few good old giggle for the first few rounds, and then we get into it. It'll just release anything that's stagnant in you, anything that you've been holding on to, and just let it out. Okay, so we breathe in through the nose. You can watch me for this round and be nicely entertained. We're going to breathe in through the nose, lifting up. And as we breathe out, we're going to take our hands onto our thighs or even onto our elbows, stick our tongue out towards our chin, and then roll your eyes up to your forehead. The longest breath you can do. And then breathing in, straighten the legs. You can take backs of hands together, reach up, have a smile to yourself, have a giggle if you need to, come forward and go. And breathe in, lifting up. Let's try 2 more with focus. Let it all out, let it all out, let it all out, let it all out. Backs of hands together, breathing in, lifting up. Last one. Well done. And slowly, slowly coming up. Good. Have a little wiggle, a little rotation. Get a little shake out for yourself. See if you can just let everything out. Beautiful. Okay, you should feel nicely energized, but just in case you don't, I'm going to give you an uplifting, energizing pose to rest in today. And this is one that you might need to do possibly at home or in the workplace if you have an opportunity to take 5 minutes of rest. So you're taking a blanket or a towel and you're going to bring yourself to lying down. And we place our feet on the mat. Now this blanket or the towel comes just underneath the shoulder blades here behind you, okay? And then you come to resting. So you can take your arms to hold on to the blanket or the towel there to bring you down, taking your time to get there. And then you're going to feel that little lift of the chest and the sternum. And then we take the elbows just above the towel or the blanket and the backs of the hands onto the ground to keep the neck long, the chin in, and the feet can rest on the ground or on the mat and just feel that lift. You can work with a little thin cushion as well, but not too wide or long. You want the lift, the highest part coming in the chest and the sternum. Close the eyes, lengthen the neck. Breathe in and out of the nostrils. And if you can stay here for longer, in this session, you can work your soles of feet together, knees wide. And just let the pose work for you. Let that breath open up the chest. Let this support of the blanket or the towel under the shoulder blades open you up. And you should feel nicely energized after a few more breaths here. And you can stay here as long as you like and then roll over onto your right side and ease yourself up to sitting. Or you can stay here a little longer And for those of us that have rolled onto our side and brought ourselves up to sitting, we're just going to place our hand on the sternum at the center of the chest. And if you're still lying down, you can place the hand on the sternum at the center of the chest as well. And acknowledge your 3 gratitudes for the day. You can do this in any position. 3 things in your life that you have noticed. They can be new each day. Little defined moments, thoughts, feelings. Name them for yourself here and now. And then honoring yourself here and now with gratitude also, with respect and kindness, and offering that sentiment of respect and kindness and acknowledgement beyond yourself to anyone that comes to mind, and to your greater community, offering respect and kindness and generosity in whatever way you can. And if you can, consider Galway Simon community. That would be greatly appreciated at this time. Thank you. Namaste. Well done. I'll see you tomorrow for some twists.